There's that pause where you just know things about to get spicy, and he doesn't disappoint. A big 4 bet is put in, 3.1K. We are up 4.6K for the month. A little slow for where the month is, but we got a pretty big game going. So no long intro, let's get to it.
From the Lodge Mahal in beautiful Round Rock, Texas. Welcome to the Lodge live stream. We're going to have fun today. We're going to be playing a little 25-50 action, over $100,000 on the table. I think $120,000.
It doesn't take long before the stand-up game begins, so bigger raise sizes, wider ranges, and more bluffing. Josh has already won a pot, but he kicks off the action anyway with a raise to 300. Ifan's on the button and he makes the call. I'm in the straddle and pocket tens is going to be good enough for a 3-bet squeeze. $1,500 guys, that's the new price of admission. Josh gets out the way, and when Ifan flats the early position raise and then flats the 3-bet, he has a lot of suited aces and Broadway cards. Maybe some medium pairs he would want to set mine with. But anyway, heads up to a flop. The flop is King 9-9, 2 diamonds. The action's on me, and I'll have plenty of checks in my range here. I check it over and he bets half pot, $1,700. I think it's too nitty to fold when he would bet many of his 2-pair combos in position, so I call to see a turn, which is a good one. If I couldn't tell whether or not I was good, I sure can now. We boat up and we set the trap. Our opponent jams and I just snap call. Just gotta avoid a king, which I do, and a $1,500 pot is headed our way. Great start to the stream. So 5 minutes after we stack our friend Ifan, we get into another action-heavy hand with him. Ifan's in early position and he raises it up to 250. It folds to us on the button and what do you know? Pocket aces. No slow playing for me, I bump it up to 800. It folds back around to Ifan and I'm only hoping he'll 4-bet me light. There's that pause where you just know things about to get spicy and he doesn't disappoint. A big 4-bet is put in, 3.1K. There's no way to mess this up, but I take a moment to think through everything. If I call, the pot will be 7K, leaving him with about a pot-sized bet left behind. If I jam, however, he might be folding his bluffs, like ace-queen or ace-10 suited or something like that. Not wanting to overthink it, I decided to just put it in, hoping he has something that can call. And he does. We both show our cards, and I have a huge advantage. The board runs clean, and we stack our opponent twice in 4 hands. So brutal. All right, y'all, so the game is going well. I think we're running pretty pure. Got 2 big hands in, but still got a long stretch to go. The double straddle to 200 is on. Good timing, because I wake up with the ladies in the cutoff. I raise it up to 500 and get resistance from Forrest. If you've been following my vlogs, you know that he stacked me a couple of times already. He's an action player that deserves me calling him down light. So we get into a hand with Forrest, and here we go. Heads up to a flop. 7-7-5, 2 diamonds. In the moment, I already knew that this was going to go down to the river. So when Forrest bets 2K, it's an easy call on the flop. We're not giving up with the 3rd best pair, so on to a turn we go. The turn is a 6, completing some straights, but I don't think this is something for us to worry about. Forrest continues the aggression, and this time with a half bet to 3,500. We're committed to see a river, so we call. Interesting side note though, that the more I play with Forrest, the more I realize that his half bet is generally a weaker hand. But anyway, that's a sizing tell from my own use. The river is a 9, which doesn't change anything. The pot's bloating quickly and we're prepared to call the final bet. However, he decides to slow down and check it over. It's beginning to feel like ace-king or some non-paired hand. Nothing that would call, so there's no reason for us to bet. I check it back and I'm glad to take down another pot.
Double straddles on too.
Cumulative winnings. JWIN now up 21,000. Not too shabby. Josh right behind him, 18.5. Forrest now is throwing the party, down 20,200. Ifan clawing his way back. He was down close to 17,000 after one orbit with JWIN, getting stacked twice within an orbit.
It folds to me in the hijack, and I have one of my favorite hands, ace-8 of diamonds. With a 200 straddle on, I make the standard raise to 500, and only Batman calls. Heads up to a flop of 9-8-2, 2 hearts. We're a couple of hours into the stream, and I don't know much about Batman, but he's been a social and fun guy to play with, and he has made some huge plays. I'll have to make some overcalls, but I want to be cautious. With 2nd pair top kicker, however, is good enough for a c-bet. $600. He makes the call and we're off to a turn. The turn is a king, completing the flush. When he checks it over, I'm gonna be checking back a ton here. And that's what I do. When the river gets checked over, I don't see a reason to bet. So I take my showdown. Another pot going my way and I'm feeling pretty good about the momentum I'm building. Stand-up game number 2 underway and this hand gets spicy. When it folds to the blind, our nemesis Pierre, aka 3rd best player in Italy, limps into us. With ace king off, we're certainly going to bump this up, $500. When Pierre pulls the limp raise, however, We're blocking aces and kings, so I really think he's just pulling a move, which works great to generate folds during a stand-up game. But again, with ace-king, I'm not afraid. I 4-betted a 5k and await his action. Pierre calls, so we're heads up to a flop. The flop is pretty connected. 10-9-7, 2 spades. Based on a pre-flop action, however, I'm not going to be betting very much on this particular board. So when Pierre checks it over, I'm happy to check it back and play turn and river. The turn pairs the board with another 7. Pierre checks it over, and once again, there isn't a need to bet. I generally think it's a bad idea to bet when the flop goes check-check, as it's really easy for the out-of-position player to deploy a check-raise bluff. With ace-king here, I have plenty of showdown and happy to play for a single bet on the river. So when the river goes check a third time, I feel pretty good with my showdown value and happy to check it back. Pierre shows ace-queen. But let's go, we have ace-king and we take down a pretty nice pot of 10k plus. Watching the tape back, this hand was pretty interesting. It folds to us on the button and we open it up with queen 10 suited to $700. Ifan is in a straddle and he 3-bets it to 2.5k. The action's on us, and while normally in a 100 big blind game we would call, and to be honest, even in shallow stacks I would call as well. Ranges are fairly wide when it's button versus straddle, and we can't be afraid to see a flop. But if I call here, the SPR would be 1-1, and that's pretty dangerous territory because if anything comes out like a queen or a 10, I would be forced to call that last all-in. However, I take my time to evaluate and see if I could pick up any live reads. It really feels that Ifan wants to get his whole stack in, and because of that, I don't feel like I want to play a big pot with queen 10 suited. My gut doesn't feel right and I make the correct fold. Nothing special about this fold or anything like that, but really happy to see that in the moment I made the correct call, as I just realized now that he had kings. Good job, self. Alright, y'all, so we're running pretty pure, and I didn't count my stack up yet, but I'm pretty sure we have our best day ever. But nevertheless, I think that our job is just to stay focused, right? We've been running pretty pure, but our job is to stay focused and not get into any bad situations from here on out. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoying the vlog so far. I think we probably got about 2 or 3 hours left. We're gonna play after the stream some. Hopefully we'll keep on running it up. We're gonna stay committed to just playing good poker and going from there. I couldn't play queen 10 suited in the last hand, so here goes another shot. It folds to the blind and Batman raises a small blind to 525. I'm in a straddle and it's a 3-bet to 1.6k for me. Batman calls, so we're heads up to a flop. Flop gives us middle pair, but we have an overcard to be worried about. Still, I can c-bet here. I c-bet to 1.2k and get check raised, but it's just a min click. We have some pretty good backdoors, so let's not get pushed off our hand just yet. I call the additional 1.2k and evaluate turn. When Batman checks a blank turn, there's no reason for me to bet. I'm also fairly sure that at this point, he's on a draw or an ace too weak to bet again. I check it back. The river is a fantastic one, giving us trips. Batman puts in a huge bet of 6k, and we snap it off. Huge 20k pot headed my way. Run good comes in many forms, and when you can win with a marginal pair and face no resistance, you gotta be grateful. So check this out. Batman limps on the button, and I raise it up to 600. He calls. Heads up to a flop of Jack Jack 4. I don't love it, but I check the Batman to see what he does. A little relief when he checks it. No overcards please, but nope, an ace comes on the turn. But when I check it at Batman, it doesn't seem like it wants to stab at it, and he elects to see a river. Nothing excited about this hand other than I'm happy to take it down with no resistance. Sometimes the in-position opponent will put you to the test and make you overfold. It's nice that even in these marginal spots, I don't face much opposition. Now that is a kind of run good, and I'll take it. Last hand of the live stream. Jordan, who's been playing pretty well, opens his cutoff to 600. Ifan calls in a small blind, and we close the action in the double straddle. 3 plays to a flop of 4-3-3, 2 clubs, giving us trips. We check to play and flow, and Jordan fires off for 1k. When Ifan raises it up to 3.5k, I realize that he has a lot of small overpairs and some flush draws, plus some random bluffs that he might have in a small blind. With Jordan behind, I really don't want to slow play any nutted hands, so I raise it up to 7.5k, with the goal of an all-in bet on the turn. However, both players give up and we take down the final hand of the stream. Here are the final stats of the game. Alright, so end of game recap. As you guys saw, we finished the stream up about 36 or so, and I think we at one point broke 40k. Unfortunately, I come to bear bad news. After the stream, we kept on playing for a couple more hours, and about 20 minutes before we were supposed to leave, we get into a huge hand with deep stack. I raise from a small blind, I get 3-bet, I call with ace-7 of diamonds. The flop comes king, jack, 2 diamonds. The turn is a 2 of diamonds. I check, and he bets 5,000, which is an overbet, and I call with my nut flush. The river is a blank, like an 8 of clubs or something. I check, he overbets 18,000. This is the kind of player who knows that my range is capped here. I never have kings, I rarely have jacks, and all of his flushes are better than my king X hands. Unfortunately, we call, and he shows us top boat. So I think in the hand it was roughly like a 50 or 60K hand or something like that. So I gave up a significant chunk of my profits, which is pretty painful. And I don't want to count my chips right now. I'm just want to go home. But I think I'm up like around 12K or something like that. So I'll just post on one of these sides what I'm in, out for, and what my net profit is. But overall, look, we played a good game. We got into one big cooler hand and we lost a decent pot of like 12K or so. So we did give up most of our profits, and unfortunately what would have been my best day ever at 40K or so is now just a average win. But you know, it's poker. You can't complain. You can't over glorify when things are going great, and you can't complain when things are going bad. And I still made money, so I'm just gonna be happy with that. We're just gonna chuck along, man. There's a lot more poker left to go in this month. Thanks you guys for following, and if you guys want to give me a pity like, it'll help other people find my video. Thanks, y'all. Love you guys. Peace.